The transport ship landed with a heavy thud that made Aaron's stomach turn. She sat in the cargo hold with 47 other Valorian women, all dressed in the same gray uniforms. Nobody spoke. There was nothing left to say. They had lost the war and now they would pay the price. Aaron closed her eyes and remembered the last thing her commander told her. Survive. Do whatever they ask. Don't fight back. Humans are cruel to those who resist. She had been a logistics officer, good at her job, proud of her service. Now she was cargo, being delivered to a human who owned her for at least 1 year, maybe forever. The door opened with a hiss. Bright sunlight poured into the dark hold. Aaron squinted and saw a man in uniform standing at the entrance. He held a datapad and looked bored. "Listen up," he said in flat, emotionless words. "You will exit in single file. Your assigned human will be waiting. You will go with them. You will obey all laws. Any attempt to escape will result in immediate arrest. Do you understand?" Nobody answered. The officer didn't seem to care. He stepped aside and waved them forward. Aaron walked down the ramp on shaking legs. The air smelled different here, like grass and soil and something sweet she couldn't name. This planet was called Nuevo Terra. It looked like the pictures of old Earth she had seen in training. Green fields stretched in every direction. Mountains rose in the distance, their peaks white with snow. She joined the line of women standing on the landing pad. One by one, humans came forward with papers, and women were led away. Some humans looked excited. Others looked uncomfortable. A few looked hungry in a way that made Aaron's skin crawl. "Aaron?" A voice called her name. She turned and saw a tall man walking toward her. He wore simple clothes, a faded blue shirt and work pants. His hands were rough and calloused. His face was tanned from the sun. He looked tired. "Yes," she said quietly, keeping her eyes down the way she had been taught. "I'm Jiho." He didn't smile. He looked at the data pad the officer gave him, then looked at her. "I guess you're supposed to come with me." She nodded and followed him to an old truck parked near the edge of the landing area. He opened the passenger door and stepped back. Aaron waited for him to tell her to get in the back, in the cargo bed where animals would ride. But he just stood there holding the door open. "You can sit up front," he said when she didn't move. Aaron climbed into the seat carefully. Jiho closed the door gently and walked around to the driver's side. He started the truck and drove away from the landing pad without saying anything. The silence felt heavy. Aaron watched the landscape pass by the window. Fields full of crops she didn't recognize. Small houses scattered across the hills. Fences that seemed to go on forever. This place was so different from the metal cities of her homeworld. "Do you need anything?" Jiho asked suddenly. "Water? Food?" "No." Aaron's voice came out as barely a whisper. "Right." He went quiet again. After 30 minutes, Jiho turned onto a dirt road. At the end of it sat a small house painted white with a red roof. Next to it was a barn and several other buildings. Chickens wandered in a fenced yard. Aaron could see rows of crops growing in neat lines behind the house. Jiho parked the truck and got out. Aaron followed, her heart pounding. This was it. Whatever was going to happen would happen now. But Jiho walked past the main house. He led her to a smaller building about 50 meters away. He unlocked the door and pushed it open. "This is the guest house," he said. "It has a bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen. Everything works. There's food in the pantry and the cooler. Clean clothes in the closet." Aaron stepped inside slowly. The space was small but clean. A bed with blue blankets, a table with 2 chairs, a window that looked out at the fields. She had expected a cage or chains or a locked room in a basement. This looked like a normal home. "I don't understand," she said. Jiho rubbed the back of his neck. He looked uncomfortable. "Look, I didn't ask for this. The government said every colonist had to participate in this program. I tried to refuse, but they threatened to take my farm. So here we are. What do you want from me?" Aaron asked. She needed to know the rules so she could survive. "Nothing." Jiho pulled a small device from his pocket and placed it on the table. "This is a communicator. If you need anything, press this button and it will call me. The door locks from the inside. You can come and go as you please." "I can leave?" Aaron couldn't believe what she was hearing. "The treaty says you have to stay in the colony for 1 year. After that, you're free to go anywhere you want. But you don't have to stay here on this farm. If you want to go to the town or find somewhere else to live, I won't stop you." He walked to the door, then turned back. "I'll bring dinner around 6. If you don't want it, just leave it outside." Then he left. Just like that. Aaron stood in the middle of the room trying to understand what had just happened. She went to the door and tried the lock. It worked from the inside, just like he said. She went to the window. No bars. She checked the closet. Simple clothes in her size, nothing degrading or revealing. She sat on the bed and put her head in her hands. This had to be a trick. Humans were supposed to be cruel. They were supposed to treat defeated enemies like slaves. That's what her commanders had told her. That's what the other women on the transport ship believed. But Jiho had given her a private space. He had given her a lock. He had said she could leave. Why? Aaron spent the rest of the day exploring the small house. She found soap and towels in the bathroom. Real food in the kitchen, not ration packs. Books on a shelf written in the human language she had learned during the war. She tried to read one but couldn't focus. At 6 o'clock, she heard footsteps outside. She pressed herself against the wall, her heart racing. A soft knock on the door. "I'm leaving food out here," Jiho called through the door. "It's nothing fancy, just rice and vegetables." She heard his footsteps walking away. After waiting 10 minutes, she opened the door. A covered plate sat on the step, still warm. Next to it was a glass of water and a piece of fruit. Aaron took the plate inside and locked the door again. She sat at the table and ate slowly. The food was simple but good. It tasted like real ingredients, not synthetic nutrients. She looked out the window and saw Jiho walking back to the main house. He didn't look back. He didn't check to see if she was eating. He just went home. That night, Irene lay in the bed and stared at the ceiling. She didn't sleep. She kept waiting for the door to burst open, for Jiho to show his true nature, for the trap to spring shut. But nothing happened. The sun rose the next morning and she was still alone, still free, still confused. Jiho left breakfast outside her door and walked away. He did the same thing at lunch, at dinner. 3 meals a day for 3 days, and he never asked to come inside, never demanded anything, never even spoke to her except through the door. On the 3rd night, Aaron finally admitted something to herself. Whatever she had expected from humans, whatever horror stories she had been told, this man was different, and that scared her more than anything else. Because if Jiho was telling the truth, if he really wanted nothing from her, then everything she believed about this war and its ending might be wrong, and Aaron didn't know how to live in a world where her enemies showed her more kindness than her own people had. On the 4th morning, Aaron woke before dawn. She had barely slept, and when she did, her dreams were full of confusion and fear. She got up and looked out the window. The sky was turning gray with the coming sunrise. She saw a light on in the barn. Through the open door, she could see Jiho moving around inside. He was carrying buckets and tools. Aaron watched him work for over an hour. He fed animals, cleaned stalls, repaired a broken fence post. He moved like someone who had done these tasks 1,000 times before. When the sun was fully up, Jiho walked to the fields. Aaron kept watching from her window. She was curious now, not just scared. What kind of man was he? What did he do all day on this farm? She ate the breakfast he had left at her door, then made a decision. She would explore. If this was really going to be her prison for a year, she needed to understand it. Aaron stepped outside and walked slowly toward the fields. The morning air was cool and fresh. Birds sang in the trees. She had never heard birds before. Her home world had no natural animals, only the ones kept in zoos and research centers. She found Jiho in a field of tall plants with purple flowers. He was kneeling in the dirt, examining something. He looked up when he heard her footsteps and seemed surprised. "Good morning," he said. He stood up and brushed dirt from his knees. "Is everything okay? Do you need something?" "No," Aaron said. "I just wanted to walk." "Oh, sure, walk anywhere you want." He gestured at the farm. "Just be careful around the equipment. Some of it is old and dangerous." He turned back to his work. Aaron stood there for a moment, not sure what to do. She had expected him to give her orders or ask her questions. But he just went back to checking his plants. "What are you doing?" she asked, checking for pests. "Something has been eating the leaves." He pointed to a plant with several holes in its purple petals. "If I don't find what's causing it, I could lose the whole crop." "What kind of plant is it?" "Lavender. It's used for medicine and perfume. It's one of the few crops that grows well in this soil." He moved to the next plant. "Most of what I grow is food, but I do a little lavender on the side. It pays better." Aaron watched him work. He was patient and careful, examining each plant thoroughly. She thought about her own work during the war, managing supply chains and logistics. It had been important but abstract. Numbers on screens. Jiho's work was real and immediate. Can I help? The words came out before she could stop them. Jiho looked at her with surprise. You don't have to, I know. But I want to. He studied her face for a moment, then nodded. Okay. Look for small green insects on the underside of the leaves. If you find any, put them in this jar. He handed her a glass container. They worked together in silence for an hour. Aaron found 3 of the insects. Jiho found 7. When they were done, he sealed the jar and stood up. Thank you, he said. That would have taken me twice as long alone. You run this whole farm by yourself? Aaron asked. Yeah. Something sad passed over his face. I used to have help. My wife, Hannah, but she died 2 years ago. I'm sorry. Me too. Jiho looked out at the fields. She loved this place. We built it together. After she died, I thought about leaving, going back to the city. But this was her dream. I couldn't let it die with her. Aaron understood that feeling. She had lost people too. Friends, fellow soldiers. They were probably dead now, or they thought she was. Either way, she would never see them again. They walked back toward the buildings together. Jiho showed her the barn where he kept 6 cows, a dozen chickens, and 2 horses. He showed her the workshop full of tools and spare parts. He explained how the water system worked, pumping from a well deep underground. It's a lot of work for one person, Aaron observed. Yeah, I'm falling behind on everything. The fence on the north field needs repair. The irrigation system is breaking down. The barn roof leaks. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. I'm slowly losing ground. They reached the main house. Jiho stopped at the door. Do you want to come in for lunch? He asked. I was just going to make sandwiches. Aaron hesitated. This felt like a test, but she didn't know what kind. Finally, she nodded. The inside of Jiho's house was simple and clean. Pictures hung on the walls, showing him and a woman with a beautiful smile. That must be Hannah. The furniture was old but comfortable. Books filled the shelves. Jiho made sandwiches while Aaron sat at the kitchen table. He didn't try to make conversation. He just worked quietly, then brought the food over and sat across from her. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Aaron spoke. Why did you agree to this? To the treaty program. Jiho put down his sandwich. I didn't agree. I was forced. The colonial government said every single adult had to participate. If I refused, they would take my land and give it to someone else. But you could have accepted me and still treated me badly. Like property. The treaty allows it. I know. Jiho looked uncomfortable. I read the whole document. It's disgusting. They call you compensation like you're objects instead of people. That's what we are. That's what the treaty made us know. Jiho shook his head firmly. That's what politicians made you. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to participate in something I think is wrong. Aaron stared at him. You're strange for a human. Maybe. Or maybe the humans you knew during the war were the strange ones. Soldiers and politicians and generals. They're not like normal people. What are normal people like? Tired, trying to survive, wanting to be left alone. He smiled a little. Like farmers. Over the next few weeks, Aaron spent more time helping Jiho. At first, it was just an hour or 2 each day. Then longer. She learned how to milk the cows, gather eggs, and water the crops. She learned about soil and seasons and weather patterns. Jiho taught her patiently, never rushing or criticizing when she made mistakes. When she accidentally left a gate open and the chickens escaped, he just laughed and helped her catch them. When she planted seeds too deep, he showed her the right depth without making her feel stupid. Working together, the farm started to improve. They repaired the north fence. They fixed the irrigation system. They patched the barn roof. In the evenings, they ate dinner together at the main house. Jiho told her stories about growing up in the city before coming to Nuevo Terra. Aaron told him carefully selected stories about her home world, avoiding anything too personal or painful. One night, Jiho asked her about Valorian technology. Aaron explained how their tools worked, their medical knowledge, their engineering principles. Jiho listened carefully, asking smart questions. Some of those ideas could help the farm, he said thoughtfully. We have different approaches to problems. Maybe we could combine them. The next day, Aaron designed a new tool using Valorian engineering concepts but human materials. It made harvesting faster and easier. Jiho was impressed. You're good at this, he said. At solving problems. I was a logistics officer. That's what we did. Find efficient solutions to complex supply problems. That's useful here too. A farm is just a different kind of supply chain. Aaron realized he was right. For the first time since the war ended, she felt useful, not as a soldier or a prisoner, but as a person with valuable skills. 2 months after her arrival, Aaron woke in the middle of the night to a loud crash. She jumped out of bed and ran to the window. The barn door was swinging open. She could hear the animals making distressed noises. She grabbed her communicator and called Jiho. No answer. She called again. Still nothing. Aaron made a decision. She ran outside in her sleep clothes and across the dark yard to the barn. Inside, she found Jiho lying on the floor next to a fallen ladder. One of the horses was loose and panicking. "Jiho!" She knelt beside him. He was conscious but in pain. "My leg," he gasped. "I think it's broken. I was trying to fix the roof at night like an idiot." Aaron's training kicked in. She calmed the horse and got it back in its stall. Then she examined Jiho's leg carefully. It was definitely broken. She found wooden boards and rope and made a splint, the way she had learned in basic combat medicine. "I need to get you to the house," she said. "I'm too heavy. I've carried wounded soldiers heavier than you." She helped him up, supporting his weight. Together they made the slow journey back to the main house. Inside, Aaron cleaned his wounds and secured the splint properly. She gave him water and medicine from his own cabinet. She elevated his leg and put ice on the swelling. "You're good at this," Jiho said through gritted teeth. "Military training. We all learned field medicine." She sat back and looked at him. "You'll need a doctor in the morning." "Thank you." He met her eyes. "You could have just called for help and waited. You didn't have to come out there." "I know. So why did you?" Aaron thought about that. "Because you needed help. And because you've been nothing but kind to me since I arrived. That deserves kindness in return." Something changed between them in that moment. A wall came down. They weren't captor and prisoner anymore. They were something else. Maybe friends, maybe partners, maybe eventually something more. But Aaron wasn't ready to think about that yet. For now, it was enough to know that she had made the right choice to stay. That maybe, just maybe, this strange human farmer had given her something she never expected to find again. Purpose. Jiho's leg took 6 weeks to heal. During that time, Aaron ran the farm almost entirely by herself. She woke before dawn to feed the animals. She managed the crops, fixed broken equipment, and handled the daily tasks that never stopped coming. In the evenings, she prepared meals and brought them to Jiho, who sat in his chair with his leg propped up, looking frustrated and helpless. "You should rest," she told him when he tried to hobble outside on crutches. "I feel useless," he complained. "You're not useless. You're healing." She handed him a tablet. "Here, make a list of everything that needs to be done in the next month. Prioritize it." "That's useful." He looked at her with surprise, then smiled. "You sound like a logistics officer." "Because I am one," she smiled back. It felt strange to smile. She hadn't done it much since the war ended. The farm work was hard, but Aaron found she enjoyed it. There was something satisfying about physical labor, about seeing immediate results from her efforts. During the war, she had managed supply chains for thousands of soldiers, but she never saw the actual impact of her work. Here she planted seeds and watched them grow. She fed animals and they grew healthy and strong. It was real and tangible. One afternoon, a truck drove up the long driveway. Aaron was in the field, covered in dirt and sweat. A man in an expensive suit got out of the truck. He looked at the farm with an expression of distaste. "Where's Jiho?" the man demanded. "In the house. He's injured." Aaron wiped sweat from her forehead. "Can I help you?" The man's eyes traveled up and down her body in a way that made her skin crawl. "So you're the Valorian he got, not bad." "A bit dirty for my taste, but I suppose that's what happens when you let them work like real people." Aaron felt anger flash through her. "Who are you?" "Governor Taewon. I'm here for the 3-month compliance inspection." He pulled out a data pad. "All colonists who received war brides must submit to regular inspections to ensure treaty compliance. I'll get Jiho." Aaron turned toward the house. "No need. I'm here." Jiho came out the front door on his crutches, moving slowly but steadily. His face was hard. "What do you want, Taewon?" "Just doing my job, making sure you're properly managing your assigned property." The governor smiled unpleasantly. "Though I see you've been letting her run wild. She should be in the house, not out here doing man's work." She does whatever work needs doing. Same as me. Jiho's voice was cold. That's not how this program is supposed to work. These women are compensation for the war. They're supposed to serve us, not be treated like equals. The governor walked closer to Aaron. You know, if you're not happy with this arrangement, my estate could always use another worker. I'd make sure you understood your proper place. Get off my property. Jiho's words cut through the air like a knife. Governor Taewon turned to him with raised eyebrows. Excuse me? You heard me. Get off my farm, now. I'm a government official conducting a legal inspection. Your inspection is done. I'm complying with the treaty. Arn has food, shelter, medical care, and safety. That's all the treaty requires. Now leave. The governor's face turned red. You're making a mistake. I have the power to make your life very difficult, and I have the power to file a complaint about a government official sexually harassing a treaty-protected individual. Jiho moved forward, on his crutches until he was face to face with Taewon. Try me. For a long moment, the two men stared at each other. Finally, the governor turned away. You'll regret this, he said as he got back in his truck. Both of you. They watched him drive away. When the truck disappeared, Aaron turned to Jiho. You just made an enemy. I know. Jiho sighed. But I couldn't let him talk to you like that. Like you're a thing instead of a person. Why? Aaron asked. Why do you keep defending me? It would be easier to just go along with what they expect. Because it's wrong. Jiho looked at her seriously. The treaty is wrong. The way they're treating your people is wrong. I won't be part of it even if it costs me. Aaron felt something shift inside her chest. Something warm and unfamiliar. She had spent 3 months watching Jiho, waiting for him to show his true nature, waiting for the kindness to be revealed as manipulation. But it never happened. He was exactly what he appeared to be. A decent man trying to do the right thing in a world that made it difficult. That night, Aaron couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about what the governor had said, about other war brides and how they were being treated. She had been lucky. Jiho was kind. But what about the others? The next morning, she asked Jiho if she could go to the town. Of course. You don't need permission. You can go anywhere you want. He paused. Do you want company? My leg is better. I could drive you. No. I need to do this alone. She took the truck and drove the 30 kilometers to the small town. It had one main street with shops, a medical clinic, a school, and a government office. Aaron parked and walked slowly, looking around. She saw 3 other Valorian women. One was sweeping the floor of a restaurant, her eyes empty. Another was walking quickly with her head down, a bruise visible on her arm. The third was working at a shop, and she looked okay. Not happy, but okay. Aaron approached the woman at the shop when no humans were around. Hello, she said in their language. The woman looked up with surprise. You speak Valorian? I am Valorian. My name is Aaron, Nari. The woman glanced nervously at the door. I can't talk long, The man who received me gets angry if I waste time. Are you okay? Do you need help? Nari's eyes filled with tears. What help? We're trapped here. This is our life now, not all humans are bad. The one I live with is kind. He doesn't hurt me or force me to do anything. You're lucky then. Nari wiped her eyes quickly. Most of us aren't so lucky, but we survive. We have to. Aaron got contact information from Nari and promised to come back to town regularly. Over the next few weeks, she met more war brides. Some had stories like hers, placed with decent people who treated them well, but too many had stories of abuse, exploitation, and cruelty. She told Jiho about what she learned. I suspected as much, he said grimly. I've heard things, seen things at the market, but nobody wants to talk about it publicly. Isn't there anything we can do? Maybe. Jiho pulled out his datapad. I've been talking with a few other colonists. People like me who think this whole program is wrong. We've been documenting cases of abuse, building evidence, but we need more. I can get more. The other women trust me. They'll talk to me. It could be dangerous if Governor Taewon finds out or others like him. I don't care. Aaron felt determined. I can't just think about myself. I have to help them. So they began working together on a different kind of project. Aaron met with war brides in secret, recording their stories. Jiho compiled the evidence and worked with sympathetic lawyers in the capital city. It was slow, careful work. They had to be careful not to attract attention. Months passed. Spring turned to summer. The farm thrived under their joint care. Erin moved from the guest house to the main house when Jiho offered her a bedroom there, saying it made more sense than maintaining two separate spaces. They fell into comfortable routines, working together during the day, cooking dinner together in the evening, talking late into the night about everything from farming techniques to philosophy. One evening, a massive storm rolled in from the mountains. Jiho looked at the dark clouds with worry. This is bad. If the wind is too strong, it could destroy the entire lavender crop. That's 30% of my income. What can we do? Cover them. Stake them. Protect what we can. He looked at the sky. We have maybe 2 hours before it hits. They worked frantically, covering the most valuable plants with protective sheets, staking the taller ones to prevent them from breaking. The wind picked up. Rain started to fall lightly at first, then harder. Lightning flashed across the sky. The barn! Aaron shouted over the wind. The animals! They ran to the barn and secured all the doors and windows. The horses were panicking. Aaron spoke to them in Valorian, her voice calm and soothing. Somehow it worked. The animals calmed down. The storm raged through the night. Wind tore at the buildings. Rain pounded the roof. Aaron and Jiho sat in the barn, watching over the animals, making sure nothing broke or flooded. They were both soaking wet, covered in mud, exhausted. Why did you come to this planet? Aaron asked during a quiet moment between thunder crashes. Hana wanted to farm. She grew up in the city and hated it. She had this dream of living somewhere simple and real. Jiho smiled sadly. I thought she was crazy. I was a software engineer. I worked in an office. I didn't know anything about farming. But you learned. We learned together. It was hard. We failed a lot. But we did it. We built this place from nothing. He looked around the barn. After she died, I couldn't bear to leave. It felt like abandoning her dream. She'd be proud of you, of what you've kept alive. Maybe. He turned to Aaron. What about you? What did you want before the war? Aaron thought about that. I wanted to be an engineer. To design systems. I was good at understanding how complex things fit together. The military recruited me because of those skills. You still have those skills. But I'll never use them the way I planned. My career is over. My life is over. No, Jiho said firmly. Your old life is over. But you're building a new one. I see it. You've become a real farmer. You're helping other women find safety and justice. You've made this place better. That's not nothing. Aaron felt tears on her face mixing with the rain. I didn't expect this. Any of this. I thought humans would be monsters. We can be. Some of us are. But some of us are just people, trying to do better. He reached out and took her hand. You didn't expect kindness. I didn't expect to care about someone again. Life surprises us. They sat together in the barn, holding hands while the storm raged outside. When morning came, they walked through the farm surveying the damage. Some crops were destroyed. Part of the north fence was down again, but most of it survived. We'll rebuild, Jiho said. Together, Aaron agreed. And she realized that somewhere along the way this farm had stopped being her prison. It had become her home. The news came on a cold morning in early autumn. Aaron was collecting eggs when she heard Jiho calling her name from the house. His voice sounded urgent. She dropped the basket and ran. What's wrong? She asked, breathless. Jiho stood in the kitchen with his data pad, his face pale. The Valorian government. They're sending ships. They want to take the war brides home. Aaron felt the world tilt. What? It just came through on the official channels. They're calling the treaty illegal, saying it was signed under duress. They want all the war brides returned. He showed her the screen. The fleet arrives in 2 weeks. Aaron sat down heavily. She read the announcement carefully. The Valorian government was offering full honor restoration to any war bride who returned. All records of their assignment would be erased. They would be welcomed home as returning heroes who had endured captivity. You can go home, Jiho said quietly. You can see your family again. Be with your own people. Aaron couldn't finish the sentence. She didn't know what to say. Over the next few days, the colony was in chaos. Some war brides were celebrating, packing immediately. Others were uncertain. A few said they wouldn't go. The human colonists were divided too. Some were angry, saying the Valorians couldn't just break the treaty. Others were relieved, happy to be free of an arrangement they never wanted. Aaron tried to work on the farm like normal, but her mind was far away. She thought about her mother, who she hadn't spoken to in over a year. She thought about her home city with its silver towers and artificial suns. She thought about the life she had lost, but she also thought about the life she had found. The farm, the work, the quiet evenings with Jiho, the other war brides who depended on her help, the case they were building against the abusive colonists. 1 week before the fleet arrived, a shuttle landed at the farm. A Valorian woman in military uniform stepped out. She was tall and elegant, with the bearing of someone important. "Aaron?" the woman called. Aaron walked toward her slowly. "Yes? I am Solon. I serve your family." The woman looked around the farm with barely concealed disgust. "I bring messages from your mother. May we speak privately?" They went to the guest house. Solon sat stiffly on the chair, not touching anything. "Your mother is ill," Solon said without preamble. "Heart condition. She wants to see you before she dies." Aaron felt her chest tighten. "How ill?" "The doctors give her 6 months. Maybe less." Solon pulled out a data pad. "Your family never approved of your assignment as a war bride. Your father is a high commander. He fought to keep your name off the lists, but the treaty required a certain number from each military unit. You were chosen randomly. I didn't know that. You weren't supposed to. It was decided your status would be hidden to protect you from retaliation by humans who might want revenge against high-ranking Valorian families." Solon leaned forward. "But now you can come home. Your mother wants to see you. Your father has arranged for your full restoration. You'll be given back your rank, your career, your life. What do I have to do?" Solon hesitated. "You have to testify. About your treatment here. About how the humans exploited you. The government needs evidence that the treaty terms were implemented in bad faith. But I wasn't exploited. Jiho treated me well. That's not what the Valorian government wants to hear." Solon's voice was hard. "They need proof that humans are cruel, that the treaty should be broken. If you want to come home, you have to give them that proof. You want me to lie. I want you to remember the bigger picture. This is about our people's honor, about justice for what was done to us." Solon stood. "Think carefully, Aaron. This is your chance to reclaim everything you lost. Don't throw it away for a human farmer." After Solon left, Aaron sat in the empty guest house for a long time. She thought about her mother, sick and dying. She thought about her father, working behind the scenes to protect her. She thought about everything she had lost, but she also thought about everything she had gained. That evening, she found Jiho in the barn, brushing one of the horses. He looked up when she entered. "You're going," he said. It wasn't a question. "I don't know yet. You should go." Jiho's voice was gentle but firm. "Your mother is dying. You need to see her. I can't ask you to give that up. But they want me to lie about you. To say you mistreated me. Then tell them the truth. Tell them some humans are good and some are bad. Tell them I gave you freedom." He put down the brush and walked over to her. "I won't be angry. I won't feel betrayed. I want you to do what's right for you. What if I don't know what's right? Then you figure it out. But you figure it out at home with your family." He smiled sadly. "I'll miss you. I'll miss you every day. But you deserve to have a choice. A real choice. Not one made by treaties or governments or fear." Aaron left the barn and walked through the fields. The crops they had planted together were almost ready for harvest. The fence they had repaired stood straight and strong. The barn roof they had fixed no longer leaked. She had put her hands into this place. She had made it part of herself. She went to the town and found Nari at the shop. "Are you going back?" Aaron asked. "Yes." Nari looked relieved and terrified at the same time. "I can't stay here. The man I live with, he's not cruel, but he's not kind either. I'm just a worker to him. Nothing more. What about the others? Some are going. Some are staying. Some don't know yet." Nari grabbed Aaron's hand. "What about you?" "I don't know.